So now we come to chapter 32. This is Madhurya Ras Vichar. Vichar means consideration. Madhurya Ras Vichar, Parakya Nayikas. So we've already discussed quite a lot about Parakya, and this is paramount to Braj. In Vrindavan, the particular ras of the Brajaramanis, the gopis, has to be in Parakya ras. This is the highest state that of love that can be attained. So I told the story a few days ago about how Radha was going to be married to Krishna, but Yogamaya arranged for her not to be married. So this is very important to appreciate, that Yogamaya is orchestrating everything for the pleasure of Krishna, and his desire not to be considered the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is his desire. Krishna is Mugdata and he's Sarvagya. He's all-knowing, and yet he doesn't know anything. When he's in Braj, he's just Mother Yashoda's little child, being naughty and chastised, etc. And chastised by the gopis also, and defeated by the cowherd boys also. So this gives Krishna great, great pleasure. It's a very, very special ras. And this relationship between Krishna and the gopis, it must be in Parakya. If it's in Swakya, the marital relationship, then it's limited. It doesn't have the same unlimited nature as the Parakya ras. So we'll hear this today. It was night. Brajanath had completed his bhajan for that day. Putting his Harinam Mala aside, he fell asleep. Vijay Kumar had honored Prasad and lay on his bed, but sleep would not come, for he was absorbed in thought. At first, he had the idea that Golok and Gokul were different places. Now, however, he concluded that Golok and Gokul are non-different. They're non-different, but there is a Vaishishtya, a speciality, otherwise they wouldn't have different names like this. There is a speciality in Golok, and there is a speciality in Gokul. The root of Parakya ras is in Golok, the root of it, not the flourishing, blossoming vine of it. That is actually in Gokul. But how can Krishna be Upapati, Paramo there? He could not comprehend this point. So he's thinking about how could Krishna be the Paramo in Golok? If Krishna is the supreme substance, he thought, and Shaktiman are non-different, even if Shakti becomes separated from Shaktiman, how can Shakti be called Prodha, married to a Gopa other than Krishna, and Krishna be called Upapati, Paramo? So he's contemplating these topics very deeply. At first he thought, tomorrow I will ask Sri Gurudev the question and have my doubt removed. But then he thought it would be improper to ask Gurudev anything further about Golok. Still, it must be cleared. Pondering in this way, he finally fell asleep. While asleep, he dreamt that he was in the presence of his Gurudev, and in order to vanquish his doubt, he was asking the very question that had preoccupied him just before he fell asleep. Gurudev replied, Baba Vijay, Krishna is fully independent in all activities. We read in the 14th chapter, Krishna is Swatantra Mayata. He's Icha Mayata. He has freedom and he has free will. He's fully independent, Krishna. So they're celebrating. I think you can hear it. I hope it's not disturbing. Gurudev replied, Baba Vijay, Krishna is fully independent in all activities, and his unimpeded desires are not dependent on the desires of others. This means full freedom. from others. Krishna is that autocratic, independent entity, Vastu. His eternal desire is that Aishwarya should be concealed and his Madhurya should be manifested. This is what he wants. Accordingly, he assigns to his Shakti an existence separate from himself. Consequently, his Parashakti assumes the form of millions of attractive young gopis, all endeavoring to render him various services. This is all his Parashakti, coming directly from the Lord. So how can there be any anomaly or fault in Krishna's relationship with his Shaktis? Still, Krishna is not fully satisfied by his Shakti services, while it is influenced by knowledge of his opulence. Therefore, by the wonderful influence of his Yogamaya Shakti, he provides those beautiful gopis with the abhiman, self-conception, that they belong to separate households. That is to say, through the influence of that Shakti, Yogamaya, they consider themselves the wives of others, and simultaneously, Krishna also assumes the relationship of their Uppati, Paramo. Very clear. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is gifting us such clarity here. Without really appreciating these topics, how can we appreciate Mahaprabhu's gifts? How can we appreciate Rupa Goswami's books, the Goswami's teachings? These are the foundation of their teachings. Out of lobe, greed for Parakiya Ras, Krishna transcends his Atmarama Dhamma, self-satisfied nature, and performs varieties of wonderful leelas, such as Rasa Leela, with those young gopis who implicitly believe that they are married to others. Vamsi is his Priya Sakhi, dear friend, in accomplishing this activity, in order that Krishna taste these special features of eternal Parakiya Bhav. In order to taste these special features, the eternal Parakiya Bhav is established in Golok. For this reason, all the pastime forests of Golok and the sites of Krishna's loving play, such as Vrindavan, remain eternally present. All the Leela stans, places of pastimes in Braj, such as the arena of the Ras, Jamuna, and Giri Govardhan, are in Golok, and in this way, the moods of being married, Dampatya Bhav, are being faithful, and of being faithful to one's husband, Svakiyatava Bhav, are present there. This is the mood of Golok. Shuddha Svakiyatva, the pure conjugal mood, reigns splendidly in Vaikuntha. The qualities of Swakiya and Parakiya are thus considered to be inconceivably different and non-different. So this is for our meditation to appreciate. Just see, this subject is so astounding. In Golok, Parakiya Bhav is present only as Abhiman, a conception. In Braj, it appears to be like an affair with another's wife. When he's saying Braj here, this means Boma Vrindavan. But there is actually no adultery, because the young gopis are Krishna's own Shakti. Krishna is united with them from the beginning of time. Therefore, their fundamental beginning of time, this is relating to the material world. Therefore, their fundamental quality is actually perfect faithfulness to one's husband, Svakiyatva, and the quality of being married, Dampatya. The Gopas, such as Abhimanyu, are special avatars of their respective conceptions in Golok. They become husbands to nourish Krishna's Leela and to make him the Leela of Vilas pastimes on the stage of Braj in the mood of an Upati. In Golok, which is far beyond the material world, Rasa is nourished only by this conception. Within the material universe of Gokul, all the conceptions manifest their individual existences and assume bodies by Yogamaya's influence in order to create the experience of being married. So in Gokul here, this is referencing the spiritual realm. And this is arranged by Yogamaya's potency to give the gopis in Gokul the conception. We've already discussed this, that they have husbands, but actually they don't have husbands. But in this Boma Vrindavan, they do have husbands. Within the material universe of Gokul, all the conceptions manifest their individual existences and assume bodies by Yogamaya's influence in order to create the experience of being married. This is all Yogamaya's arrangement. And then to transgress the codes of marital conduct. All this is accomplished by the actions of Yogamaya. This also demonstrates the utter Sharanagat of the gopis themselves, because they have the abhiman that they have husbands, and yet in their enthusiasm to please Krishna, to answer the call of his flute song and run to the forest in the middle of the night, they break all dharma, all chastity, all morality. They break that for the purpose of serving Krishna. So this is the highest example of utter Sharanagati, neglecting social norms, etc., and just engaging exclusively in focusing on the Nitya Prem rather than the false conceptions of material dharma. When Vijay Kumar had thus heard Swakiya and Parakya Tattva explained by Gurudev in his dream, his doubts were dispelled. Golok, beyond the mundane world, is factually the self-same Boma, earthly Gokul. His conviction in this fact became steadfast, and the supremely blissful identity of Braj Ras arose in his heart. So the referencing Golok in the spiritual world and Gokul in this world, this is how it's mapped out here by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. At the same time, he felt an awakening of implicit faith in the Nitya Astakalya Leela of Braj. Rising early the next morning, he thought, Sri Gurudev has shown me unlimited mercy. Now I will hear from him about the components of Ras, and then attain Nishta in Bhajan. So now he wants to go forward with his Bhajan and have everything clarified for him by Gurudev's mercy. Vijay Kumar honored Prasad and came before his Gurudev at the prearranged time. Shedding tears of prem, he offered his pranam. Gurudev lovingly embraced him and said, Baba, Krishna has favored you with his genuine mercy. Thus I have become fortunate simply by seeing you. As he said this, the powerful influence of prem made his mind unsteady. After a short time, when Goswamiji regained external perception, Vijay Kumar offered his sastang pranam and said, Prabhu, I do not know Krishna's mercy. I only know your mercy. Now I have given up trying to realize Golok. I am fully satisfied in the endeavor to attain realization of Braj. I want to thoroughly understand the fascinating varieties of Braja Ras. Kindly tell me, can the unmarried gopis who maintained the mood that Krishna was their husband be called Swakiya or not? So the unmarried gopis, the Kamya Kumaris. Goswami, those unmarried gopis of Gokul were Swakiya at that time because their Nishta in the mood of approaching Krishna as their husband. Oh, sorry, I'll read it again. Those unmarried gopis of Gokul were Swakiya at that time because of their Nishta in the mood of approaching Krishna as their husband. But their intrinsic mood is Parakiya. Although their Swakiya mood is not natural, their Swakiya relationship is perfected in that particular condition in Gokul Leela, because Krishna accepted them as his wives by the Gandhava Vihara Riti, the custom of marriage by the exchange of garlands. So we know the pastime in Bandirvan, at the Bandirvan tree, where Krishna married Sri Radhika, and all the Devas came and honored that marriage between Radha and Krishna. That's a very beautiful pastime. Vijay, Prabhu, in due course I will ask many questions, one after the other. I want to understand all the topics of Sri Ujjvala Nilamani in the sequence in which they have been presented. First, I wish to learn all about Nayak, heroes. There are 4 types of Nayak, namely Anukul, Dakshin, Sata, and Drista. Please describe the Anukul, favorable Nayak. Goswami. The Anukul Nayak is he who gives up the desire for other attractive maidens because of extreme attachment to only one Nayika, heroine. The bhav of Sri Ramchandraji towards Sri Sita Devi and of Sri Krishna towards Srimati Radhikaji is that of the Anukul Nayak. So the Anukul Nayak is favorable towards one queen, so to speak, one heroine, one Nayika. Vijay, I want to know the identity of the various bhavs, such as Anukul, of the 4 types of Nayak, such as Dhirodata. Kindly describe the symptoms of the Dhirodata Anukul Nayak. Goswami, the Dhirodata Anukul Nayak is grave, humble, forgiving, compassionate, resolute, steadfast in his vows, free from vanity, modest and extremely munificent. Still, he renounces all those qualities for the sake of his Nayika and goes to meet with her in secret. Vijay, please tell me the symptoms of Dhira Lalit Anukul Nayak. Goswami, the Dhira Lalit Nayak is by nature a connoisseur of ras, ever youthful, expert in joking, and free from anxiety. The Dhira Lalit Anukul Nayak has all these, combined with the symptom of enjoying uninterrupted pleasure. Vijay, what is Dhira Shanta Anukul Nayak? Goswami, the Dhira Shanta Anukul Nayak is naturally serene and tolerant, wise and considerate. Vijay, kindly explain the symptoms of the Dhirodata Anukul Nayak. Goswami, when the Nayak, who is envious, proud, deceitful, easily angered and boastful, is favorable, he is called Dhirodata Anukul Nayak. So these 4 types of hero are being described. Vijay, what is a Dakshin Nayak? Goswami, the word Dakshin means simple and honest. A Dakshin Nayak is he who does not give up respect, awe, and submissive love for his previous beloved, even when he gives his heart to another Nayika. One who is equally disposed towards many heroines is also called a Dakshin Nayak. All of these terminologies are very helpful when we're reading especially this Ujjvala Nilamani, and we're reading different descriptions of Krishna's pastimes. These different heroes will be mentioned, these different Nayaks will be mentioned, and these are the references where we can appreciate the distinct qualities of these different Nayaks. This is why it's being given here. Vijay, what are the symptoms of Shata Nayak? Goswami, a Shata Nayak is endearing in the presence of his beloved, but he secretly commits grave offenses by acting in an unloving manner behind her back. Goswami, a Drista Nayak, Vijay, what are the characteristics of a Drista Nayak? Goswami, a Drista Nayak is completely fearless an expert at lying, even though everyone can clearly see the signs of his having enjoyed the company of another beloved. So these are descriptions to give us the complete whole picture of all the different intricacies within the Rasa Tattva appreciations. And at different points in our studies and readings, then we will appreciate these Nayaks much more by having read this. This is very helpful. Vijay, Prabhu, how many different types of Nayak are there? Goswami, as far as we are concerned, Krishna is the only Nayak. There is no one beside him. That one Krishna is Purna, perfect in Dwarka, Purnatara, more perfect in Mathura, and Purnatatam, most perfect in Braj. He is both Pati, husband, and Upapati, paramour, in all three of these places. Thus, he is 6, which equals 2 times 3 types of Nayak in all three places. Furthermore, because of the 4 categories, beginning with Dhirodata, he embodies 24, which equals 6 times 4 types. Then again, these types are divided into Anukul, Dakshin, Shata, and Drista. So there are 96, which equals 24 times 4 types of Nayak. Now you should know that there are 24 types of Nayak in Swakya Ras and 24 types of Nayak again in Parakya Ras. In Braj Leela, Swakya Ras is a contracted bhav. Contracted, it's not manifesting. And Parakya Ras predominates. Thus the 24 types of Nayak in Parakya Ras are eternally and splendidly manifest in Sri Krishna's Braj. He is perceived as whatever type of Nayak is necessary to perform any particular part in any aspect of his Leela. Vijay, Prabhu, I have realized the various qualities of Nayak and Nayika. Now I want to know how many types of assistants, Sahayaka, the Nayak has. So I think I said at the beginning that I was simply going to read through this. I'm not stopping to unpack it and go through it at this stage. Perhaps at a later stage when we can be in smaller groups where we can communicate with each other, then we can have further discussions on this. But for now, I simply want to open this out for our appreciation. Goswami, the Nayak has 5 types of assistants, namely Cheta, Vita, Vidusaka, and Pita Mard, and Priyanam Saka. They are all expert in using joking words. They are always intensely devoted to Krishna with anurag, deep love. They know how to behave according to the occasion and circumstance. They are expert and they are adept in the art of pleasing the gopis when they become angry, as well as giving confidential advice. All 5 types of assistants have these qualities. So we're describing the gopas here. What are the attributes of the Cheta assistants? Goswami, they are expert in discovering anything. They perform secret tasks, and their disposition is somewhat bold and arrogant. In Gokul, Sakas such as Bangura and Bringara perform the activities of Krishna's Cheta. This Bangura is Govinda in Mahaprabhu's pastime, who serves Krishna, who serves Mahaprabhu. And Bringara is the other disciple, Kashishvar, Pandit, who was sent by Ishwarapuri. Ishwarapuri, when he was leaving this world, he sent 2 foremost disciples directly to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One was Govinda, who became his direct personal servant, and the other was Kashishvara, Pandit. And he was a very large figured man, and he would walk in front of Mahaprabhu, holding the crowds back when he was going to the Jagannath temple, etc. And he offered his services, his body, in that sense. And of course we know the exceptional service of Govinda daily, would never leave the side of Mahaprabhu and always be there serving him in every single capacity that was necessary. Very good. So they are called Cheta. This is described in here, in this Radhakanayoshdeepika. All of these different personalities are described. The Sakhas is what we're describing now, and the lists of the different Sakhas, particularly we're talking now about the Chetas. They are all described in here very clearly. So we can augment our study with this. Perform the activities of Krishna's Cheta. Vijay, who are called Vita. Goswami, Krishna's Vita, such as Kadara and Bharati Banda, are extremely talented in activities such as dressing and decorating Krishna. They are cunning, skilled in conversation, and expert in manipulating others. Vijay, who are the Vidusakas? Goswami, the Vidusakas are fond of eating and quarreling. They are expert at making others laugh with their comical gestures, words, and dress. Madhumangal and Gopas such as Vasant are prominent among Krishna's Vidusakas. So we're hearing all the different types of heroes. Vijay, who is in the category of Pita Mard? Goswami, Sridham is Krishna's Pita Mard. Through his qualities, though his qualities are just like those of a Nayak, he conducts all his activities according to the order of the Nayak. So his qualities are like that of a Nayak. And if you visit the place of Abhiram Das Thakur, who is Sridham in Mahaprabhu Leela, I'll post a picture afterwards of their altar that's there, and it's got Abhiram Das Thakur himself as Sridham is on the altar with Krishna with a peacock feather, being exactly like a Nayak. So this was the mood of Sridham. He had the same potencies as Krishna to relish the relationship with Krishna on that level. So it's a very special type of relationship. That's Sridham Sakha. Vijay, what are the symptoms of the Priyanam Sakhas? Goswami, they are privy to extremely confidential secrets and have taken shelter of the bhavs of the Sakhis. Subal and Arjun are prominent among Krishna's Priyanam Sakhas. This is Arjuna Vrindavan, of course, not Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Thus they are the best of all Krishna's friends. Among these five, Cheta, Vita, Vidusaka, Pita Mard, and Priyanam Sakha, the Chetas are in Dasyaras, just like Govinda and Kashishvara Pandit that I've just described. And Pita Mards are in Viraras, chivalry mood, and the rest are in Sakyaras. The Chetas are servants, Kinkara, and the other four are Sakhas. Vijay, are there no female assistants, Sahayakas? Goswami, yes there are, and they are called duties, messengers. Vijay, how many types of duty are there? Goswami, there are two kinds, Swayam duty and Apta duty. Kataksha, the sidelong glance, and Vamsidvani, the sound of Krishna's flute, are Swayam duties. Fascinating. Swayam duties, the sidelong glance and the sound of Krishna's flute. Vijay, aha, who are the Apta duties? Goswami, Vira is proficient in speaking bold words, and Vrinda is expert in persuasive flattery. They are both Sri Krishna's Apta duties. The Swayam duties and Apta duties are extraordinary duties. Apart from them, there are ordinary messengers, such as Lingini, Daivagyan, and Silpa Karini. I will describe them elaborately later in the context of Nayakas and duties. So now he's just describing the Nayaka, but he's going to describe them later as the heroines. Vijay, I have understood the mood and attributes of Sri Krishna as Nayak. I have also heard that Sri Krishna performs Nitya Lila in both Pati and Upapati Bhav. He performs pastimes in Dwarka as Pati Bhav and in Brajpuri as Upapati Bhav. Our Krishna is Upapati, so it is essential for us to know about the Braja Ramanis, the charming young gopis. So now he wants to change the focus to the gopis. Goswami, most of the damsels of Braj with whom Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar performs pastimes are in Parakiya Bhav because Madhurya Ras does not fully develop without Parakiya. The Ras of the charming ladies of Dwarkapuri remains limited by their marital relationship, whereas the Ras of the female residents of Braj, who possess the Shuddha Kam, from which Krishna derives the utmost happiness, is unrestricted, akunta. Vijay, what is the purport of this? Goswami, Sri Rudra, who is highly knowledgeable in the subject of Sringara Ras, states that the supreme weapons of Kandarpa, Cupid, are obstacles such as the contrary moods of women, Vamata, and the extreme difficulty in meeting with women, Durlabhata, because of the prohibitions that society imposes. Chanika Pandit has stated that the Nayaka's heart becomes more deeply attached when he is forbidden to meet his beloved, and when the doe-eyed beloved is difficult to attain. Look, although Krishna is Atmaramita, at the time of Ras Leela, he manifested himself in as many swarups as there were gopis, and then performed Leela with them. Every sadhak should follow Ras Leela. Here, the special instruction is that if the sadhaks desire auspiciousness, they should enter this Ras Leela as a bhakta, but they should never imitate Krishna. In other words, they should enter this Leela only by becoming a follower of a gopi, by adopting the mood of Gopi Bhav. So these are direct indications from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is so prominently re-establishing the teachings of Rupa Goswami in our line. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said once he proclaimed that don't leave the Rasa Leela in the hands of Sahajias. It is the Gaudiya's property. It is our property, this Rasa Leela. Our property to understand and appreciate and respect fully, and then to persevere in our sadhan bhajan to get the mercy, the extraordinary mercy from Rupa Goswami, from all the Goswamis, to actually be able to become eligible to enter in to that ras in our siddha sarira, in our perfected body. That is our goal, that is our intention, to purify the material conception to a degree where we're just simply merged in thoughts of Krishna's Nitya Prem. How can I serve that Supreme Lord? And it's not about some material type of accomplishment. It's about the bhav of the heart arising out of pure Shuddha Sattva, pure love for the Vishaya, for the object. And in the Sangha of my Gurudev, he always pronounced the expression, I want to be a Palyadasi of Srimati Radhika. This is the Vishaya, we can say, that we are following Sri Radhika. We are following her moods. It's called Bhavolas. That is the moods that the sadhak has that opportunity. My Gurudev was giving this teaching very clearly. regularly, for us to aim for this objective. Chanika Pandit has stated that the Naik's heart becomes more deeply attached when he is forbidden to meet his beloved, and when the doe-eyed beloved is difficult to attain. Look, although Krishna is at Maram, at the time of Ras Leela, he manifested himself in as many Swarups as there are gopis, and then performed Leela with them. Every sadhak should follow Ras Leela. This is the same directive that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is making. Here the special instruction is that if the sadhaks desire auspiciousness, they should enter this Rasa Leela as a bhakta, means as a servant of the Lord. But they should never imitate Krishna. In other words, they should enter this Leela only by becoming a follower of a gopi, by adopting the mood of gopi bhav. So this is directly from the Upadeshamrita of Rupa Goswami. Tannama Rupa Charita Adi Sukirtana Smitya Kramana Rasanam Masyoje Tishtem Braje Tanuragi Janugami. That one must follow in the wake of the gopis of Vrindavan. Kalam Nayam Akilam Iti Upadesharam. This is the essence of all advice. Rupa Goswami is saying exactly the same. Vijay, can you kindly explain more elaborately the subject of Gopi Bhav? Someone may bring up an ancient history where Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he did not encourage this mood of his disciples at that time. I think it was perhaps in the mid-70s or a little bit later, in independently trying to access this mood of Gopi Bhav. This was not specifically what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada came to establish. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was preaching on a very, very broad platform. He was laying down the foundation for the next 10,000 years with his books of instruction, like the law books of Manu practically. He was laying down what is the focus on service to Krishna, what is Shuddha Bhakti. He was laying this down very closely. And if he had opened up that door to Gopi Bhav, that would have interrupted the mood of what he was trying to establish. That wasn't what he came to establish. He knew in the future other persons would establish that. Those who had become purified by the path that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada had chalked out very clearly, those who had become purified sufficiently, they at some point in their maturity would start to inquire about these topics. And as soon as the sadhak starts to inquire about these topics, Krishna arranges for those sincere sadhaks to come in contact with those practitioners who are practicing and endeavoring into that subject matter. But it's not for the whole world to actually embrace this path of Raganuga Bhakti. The whole world can embrace Shuddha Bhakti, the path of pure devotion to Krishna, in Aishwarya Bhav. This Aishwarya Bhav is what is common, is what is more easily digestible for the conditioned soul, worshipping the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is more easy for the conditioned soul to accept. But the path of Raganuga requires more practice. So Prabhupada was initiating the flow of the platform of purification of the conditioned soul, so that one day they would be eligible. He gave the nectar of devotion. The nectar of devotion, by the way, is a superlative corollary book to follow through this Rasa Tattva. Just like the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, the nectar of devotion goes through step by step, exactly the same topics. So Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he gave these topics, but in his general preaching, he wasn't encouraging the devotees at that point, because most of the devotees were quite young at that time. Prabhupada was only preaching for 10 years on the planet. So how could they be ripened fruits, so to speak, after just 10 years of preaching. They were all in a raw stage, and they needed more practice, more association with Srimad Bhagavatam, more association with Chaitanya Charitamrita to actually mature, and certainly association of Rasik, Tattvavik, Vaishnavas. This is essential. Without this type of association, then these truths can't be realized, because we see Vijay Kumar's journey here. First he was with Raghunath Das Babaji in Navadvip, who was giving him the foundation as well as pointing in the direction of the conclusion. And the direction for the conclusion was physically in Puri. And that Rasik Vaishnava is Gopal Guru, who is receiving these teachings from his guru, Vakreshwar Pandit, who was the deep associate of Sachinandan Gaurahari. So this is all the line. There's no anomaly, there's no fault anywhere. Everything is absolutely, beautifully, systematically laid out by Krishna's plan for the fortune of the conditioned souls at this time. Vijay, can you kindly explain more elaborately the subject of Gopi Bhav? Goswami, Nandanandan Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is a Gopa, and he does not perform amorous pastimes with anyone except the gopis. The sadhak, who is eligible for Shringara Ras, should engage in Krishna bhajan with the same bhav with which the gopis render loving service to Sri Krishna. I'll read that again, because this is absolutely essential to appreciate. The sadhak, this is the conditioned soul, who is eligible for Shringara Ras by his practice, etc., by the mercy of his guru, should engage in Krishna bhajan with the same bhav with which the gopis render loving service to Sri Krishna. I just quoted that verse from Rupa Goswami saying exactly the same thing. In the course of his bhajan, the sadhak should meditate on himself as a Braja Gopi. The sadhak should consider himself the maidservant of some extremely fortunate Brajavasini, female resident of Braj, and under her guidance should render services to Radha and Krishna. One cannot possibly awaken Ras unless one considers oneself Paroda, that is, married to a Gopa other than Krishna. It is this Paroda Abhiman, the self-conception of being married to a Gopa other than Krishna, that is the specific dharma of the Brajagopis. Sri Rupa Goswami has written, Maya Kalita Tadrika Shri Shilan Enan Unu Shuyabihi Na Jatu Brajendu Devanam Pratibi Saha Sringamaha Sangamaha Ujvala Nilamani Krishna Bala Prakarana 19. The Brajadevis, who through the influence of Yogamaya consider themselves married to Gopas other than Krishna, never come in physical contact with their dharmic wedded husbands. At the time of the Gopis' Abhisar, rendezvous with Krishna and so on, the Gopis in their houses see forms of the Gopis that exactly resemble their own wives. These forms are fabricated by Yogamaya so that the Gopas will think to themselves, our wives are right here at home, and they never have any opportunity to be jealous or to feel enmity towards Krishna. So this is Yogamaya's arrangement to let the Parakiya Ras flourish in Braj. The Brajadevis never had physical contact with their lawful wedded husbands, who are all contrived by Yogamaya. So it's described in the Bhagavatam, many times the gopis were looking after children. But it's also described by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that they were not the gopis' children, they were looking after others' children who weren't having that mood of parakiya with Brajendrananda and Shyam Sundar. So those children were being looked after by the gopis, not their own children. None of the gopis that come to the Ras Leela have been touched by their lawful wedded husbands. This is what it's saying. The Braj Devis never had physical contact with their lawfully wedded husbands, who were all contrived by Yogamaya. Each of the Brajagopis' husbands is only the manifestation from their respective bhavs in the Golok Leela. Their marriages are also nothing but an implicit conviction created by Yogamaya. The gopis are not actually married to other gopas, but the abhiman, or self-conception of being married to other gopas, is eternally present. All these are descriptions of the nature of Parakya Ras. If it were not so, it would naturally be impossible for the unprecedented Parakya Ras to manifest because of contrariness, vamata, inaccessibility, durlabhata, obstructions, social prohibitions, fear, and so on. The Nayaka Bhav of the Brajaras cannot be attained without such a conception. Lakshmi of Vaikuntha is an example of this. She cannot attain that Brajabhav because her conception of being Swakya, married, cannot break. So I'm going to stop here. But these are fascinating topics for us to appreciate more and more as we delve into them and read them constantly. But I think by reading them, we'll get a familiarity where all these truths are, and when they arise in Shastras that we're reading or studying, or Harikatha that we're hearing, we'll know where to reference these particular points, these subject matters, and go back and hear them again clearly with these solid presentations of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. So we stopped on page 666. Vijay, what is the bhav of knowing oneself as Paroda? Actually, we could read this on and on and on, but our time is concluded. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So now we're up to page 666. And we've been discussing principally about the distinction between Golok and Gokul and the nature of this unprecedented Parakya Ras, which is such a confidential topic. So we haven't been explaining this particular very much. We've just been reading to try and get a broader picture and appreciation of the entire subject matter as Bhaktivinoda Thakur presents it. So we're halfway down page 666. Vijay is saying, what is the bhav of knowing oneself as Proda? Goswami, a gopi thinks, I am a girl who was born in the house of a Brajagopa, and when I grew up to be a young adolescent, I was given in marriage to a youthful Gopa. Only through this type of conviction does the intense yearning to meet intimately with Krishna become powerful. So when we have the conception of being married to a Gopa in Braj, and that desire to meet with Krishna, which has to break all social maryad, all social conformity. And to us, the conditioned souls, this is demonstrating the utter mood of submissiveness to Krishna that will surmount the greatest material obstacles of marriage, chastity, fear. All of these are overcome by the gopis completely. Only through this type of conviction does the intense yearning to meet intimately with Krishna become powerful. Gopi Bhav means to attribute arop, like we have arop siddha bhakti, which is attributing something as bhakti, but actually its initial intention was not directed at Krishna originally, but it's the same word that's been used here, a rope. To oneself, the mood of being a Gopa's wife, because they're not really Gopa's wives, they're actually fully Krishna's wives, they're his Shaktis, and we described yesterday how in the Gandharva marriage, they're married with each other. That marriage takes place in Bandirvan forest. One day, Nanda Baba, he's holding baby Krishna in his arms, cradling him in his arms, and he sees a huge blackish storm coming. A mighty storm is coming, and he's wondering, what am I going to do with Krishna now? And all of a sudden, a young Kishori steps out, practically from the forest, and extends her arms to take baby Krishna. And somehow Nanda Baba is very attracted to this Kishori, and he just gives baby Krishna into the arms of that Kishori, who's assuming to give shelter to that child during the storm. And then that Kishori carries the baby Krishna into the forest. And as soon as they have left the vision of Nanda Baba, then suddenly that baby Krishna grows up and takes the hand of Radhika, and they're both two teenagers, Kishori, Kishore. And then they walk into the forest, they come to the Bandiravat tree, and it's there that this wonderful marriage ceremony takes place, where Lord Brahma himself comes, chants the mantras, Tungavidya is chanting the mantras, and all the Astasakis, they all meet there, they're all performing this marriage ceremony. This is called the Gandharva ceremony. This, when it's done without the formalities of a normal type of marriage. And this is when Radha and Krishna become married. This pastime is beautifully described in many, many places. And I'll give a reference after exactly. I think it's in perhaps some the Bhakti Rasayan. I think in this book, my Gurudev describes this pastime very beautifully. But it's described in many places like this. So Gopi Bhav means to attribute a rope to oneself, the mood of being a Gopa's wife who has not yet given birth to a child. So we explained that yesterday also. Many times when the children are mentioned, that the Gopis, they left their children behind. But it's explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, those children that they left behind were the children of other Gopis. Vijay, if the sadhak is male, how can he attribute Gopi Bhav to himself? Good question. Goswami, people only consider themselves male because they are under the influence of the illusory nature imposed by Maya. That's a material consideration, the gender, according to the material body, not the spiritual identity. Except for Krishna's eternal male associates, the pure inherent spiritual nature of all others is female. And this is because the female has a natural propensity for service. We see in many instances, like for example, when you travel on airlines, it's practically always stewardesses who are serving. They have a propensity, a natural ability to serve in a gentle manner. There's one airline in Ireland where they have men serving, stewards, and they just don't do a good job at all. They get irritable. They don't know how to serve in the same gentle way that the ladies know how to serve. That's just an example of that. But generally the mood of service, the highest service, because generally the submissive wife, she's in service to her husband directly, even though the husband is in service to the wife as far as maintaining her and so on. But the wife has a particular mood of service to the husband, that mood of service, which is very beautiful. So it's saying that the spiritual nature of all others is female. That's service. All others are Jiva Sarupoi, Krishna and Nityadas, all servants of Krishna. Really, there are no male and female characteristics in the spiritual structure. but the sadhak can attain eligibility to be a Brajavasini when he is impelled by Swabhav and a steadfast Abhiman, when he has his mood is steadfast, his identity is steadfast. Only those who have ruchi for Madhurya Ras are eligible to become Brajavasinis. If one performs sadhana according to one's ruchi, one will attain a perfected state that corresponds exactly to the nature of that sadhana. So in our sadhana, we are remembering our mood of service in a female form, if our desire is to enter into this rasa tattva. Brajanath, of course, won't be like that. His desire was to be with Subal and the cows, so his form, spiritual form, will be male. But for those who are entering into this Madhurya Ras, their spiritual form will be female. Vijay, what are the glories of being a gopi married to a gopa other than Krishna? Goswami, the Braja gopis who are married to others naturally become minds of superabundant beauty and extraordinary, powerful, transcendental virtues when the intense hankering to meet intimately with Krishna arises in their hearts. They're overwhelmed with Krishna Prem, we can say. They also become decorated with the exquisite loveliness of Prem. The sweetness of their ras exceeds that of all the Shaktis of Bhagavan, headed by the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. So when we say the term Bhagavan, this indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Lord Narayan. So his Lakshmi, his Shakti, is principally the goddess of fortune. And this ras exceeds the beauty of that Lakshmi Devi, the gopis. Vijay, how many kinds of Brajasundari, beautiful damsels, are there? Goswami, there are 3 types, Sadanpara, Devi, and Nityapriya. Vijay, are there also different types of Sadanpara Sundari? Goswami, yes, there are 2 types of Sadanpara Sundari, Utiki and Ayutiki. Vijay, who are the Utiki? Goswami, the Utiki Sundaris have taken birth in Braj together in a group after being absorbed in the sadhan for Braja Ras. In other words, they are members of a particular group. There are 2 kinds of Utiki, Munigan and Upanishadgan. Vijay, which Munis have taken birth in Braj as gopis? Goswami, some Munis offered worship to Gopal, but were unable to attain siddhi, perfection. After having darshan of Sri Ramchandra's beauty, they further endeavored in sadhana in accordance with their cherished desire. Thus they accepted Gopi Bhav and took birth as gopis. Padma Purana refers to them in this way, and Brihat Vamana Purana states that some of them attain perfection at the beginning of the Ras Lila. So 2 types. Vijay, how did the Upanishads take birth as gopis in Braj? Goswami, the Maha Upanishads personified, who were gifted with extremely fine discrimination, became thoroughly astonished when they saw the gopis' good fortune, and after performing severe austerities with Shraddha, they attained birth in Braj as gopis. Their Shraddha is particularly mentioned. That means their focus, their desire to become a gopi. Then they attained birth in Braj as gopis. Vijay, who are Ayutiki? Goswami, there are 2 types of Sundaris celebrated by the name Ayutiki, long-standing, Prachina, and new, Navina. They are exceptionally attached to Gopi Bhav and perform sadhana with intense eagerness and natural anurag. Some take birth alone, and others in groups of 2, 3, or even more at the same time. The Prachana Ayutiki gopis attain Salokya, living on the same planet together with the Nitya Priya gopis for a long time. A long time ago, the Navin Ayutiki Gopis came to Braj by taking birth in the species of devas, humans and other beings. They gradually became Prachina and attained Salokya in the way I have already mentioned. Vijay, I have understood the subject of Sadhan Para. Now please be so kind as to explain to me about the Devis. Goswami, when Krishna descends among the Devas in Swaga by his Angsas and his Nityakantas, Angsas of his Nityakantas also manifest as Devis in order to satisfy him. Those very Devis take birth in Krishna Lila as the daughters of Gopas and become the Pran Sakis of the Nitya-priya Gopis, of whom they are Angsas, in other words, of their own Angsinis. Vijay, Prabhu, when does Krishna take birth by his Angsa in the species of Devas? Goswami, Krishna takes birth from Aditi's womb by his Swangsa form as Vamana, and by his Vibhinamsa's separated expansions, he becomes the Devatas. Shiva and Brahma are not born from the womb of a mother, and although they are not in the category of ordinary jivas, they have 50 qualities to a minute degree. They are still only Vibhinamsas. Those 50 qualities are certainly present in Brahma and Shiva to a somewhat greater extent, and in addition, they have 5 more qualities that are not found in the ordinary jivas. Therefore, these two are called the chief devatas. Ganesh and Surya are also situated in the same category as Brahma for the same reason. But all the other devas are classified as jivas. So it's the distinction. This is actually described in the 13th chapter here. In the 13th chapter, there's a list of Krishna's 64 qualities, and the first 50 qualities are in the Devas and to a greater degree in Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and then still to a greater degree in Lord Narayan, and then the 4 extra qualities in Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar. There's Prem Madhuri, Rup Madhuri, Lila Madhuri, and Venu Madhuri, these 4 exceptional qualities. Ganesh and Surya are also situated in the same category as Brahma for the same reason, but all the other devas are classified as jivas. All the devatas are Krishna's Vibhinamsas, and their wives, Devis, are the Vibhinamsas of Chit Shakti. Just before Krishna's appearance, Brahma ordered them to take birth to satisfy Krishna, and following his order, some of them took birth in Braj and others in Dwarka, according to their different tastes and sadhan. The Devis who take birth in Braj because of intense eagerness to attain Krishna are the Pran Sakis of the Nitya Priya Gopis. Vijay, Prabhu, the Upanishads attained birth as Gopis, but kindly tell me, do any other presiding Devis of the Vedas also accept birth in Braj? Goswami, it is written in the Shristi Kand of the Padma Purana that Gayatri, who is Vedamata, the mother of the Vedas, also took birth as a Gopi and attained Sri Krishna's association. From that time, she assumed the form of Kam Gayatri. Vijay, but isn't Kam Gayatri without any beginning, Anadi? Goswami, Kam Gayatri is certainly Anadi, and this Anadi Gayatri first manifested in the form of Vedamata. Later, by the influence of sadhan and seeing the good fortune of many Upanishads, she took birth in Braj, along with the Gopal Upanishad. Although the form of Kam Gayatri is eternal, she exists splendidly in an eternal and separate form as Vedamata Gayatri. Vijay, all those, such as the Upanishads, who took birth in Braj, had the abhiman of being the daughters of Gopas, and they accepted Krishna as their own husband with the conception that he was a Gopa Nayak. Krishna became their husband at that time by the custom of Gandharva Vihar. I've explained that just before. I have understood this much. However, Krishna's eternal beloved consorts are his associates from time without beginning. So is Krishna's relationship of Upapati with them only a contrivance of Maya? Goswami, it is certainly one type of creation of Maya, but not of Jada Maya, the illusory energy exhibited in the material world. Jada Maya can never touch Krishna Leela. Although Braj Leela is within the material world, it is completely beyond the jurisdiction of Jad Maya. Another name for Chit Shakti is Yoga Maya, and in Krishna Leela, this very Yoga Maya acts in such a way that one who is influenced by Jad Maya sees that Krishna Leela is in an external form. Yoga Maya brings to Braj the Prodha Abhiman of Golok with each of the Nitya Priyas, and gives that Abhiman form a separate individual existence. Then, by arranging for the marriages between the Nitya Priya Gopis and those separate existences, she makes Krishna Upapati. So there's a footnote here I think we can just look at right now. I'll just get to that. So the footnote is that it's on page 675. All the Abhimans, all the identities of Golok are manifested in tangible forms in Braj, such as Abhimanyu. So here, when we say Braj, we're indicating Boma Vrindavan. And in earthly Vrindavan, Abhimanyu manifests in a tangible form as the husband of Radhika. She makes Krishna Upapati. I say it with it again. Then, by arranging for the marriages between the Nityapriya Gopis and those separate existences, she makes Krishna Upapati. So Yogamaya is the one responsible for managing this arrangement of the Gopis' husbands in Golok. The omniscient Purush and the all-knowing Shaktis who are absorbed in their respective rasa accept these bhavs. This indicates the superiority of ras and the super excellence of the fully independent Icha Shakti. There is no such eminence in Vaikuntha and Dwarka. When the Pran Sakis attain Salokya, along with the Nityapriya Gopis, their restricted Pati Bhav broadens and becomes Upapati Bhav, so this is their ultimate achievement. Vijay, this Siddhanta is quite extraordinary. My heart has become refreshed. Now kindly explain to me about the Nitya Priya Gopis. Goswami, Sri Gaurachandra could not have revealed such esoteric principles through my mouth if there were no qualified listener. Present, such as your good self. Look here, in various places, Sri Jiva Goswami, who is all-knowing, Sarvagyan, has deliberated on this subject in a very confidential manner, which one can understand by reading his commentaries and literatures, such as Krishna Samdarbha. Sri Jiva Goswami was always afraid that if unqualified persons came to know about these very esoteric principles, they might later take shelter of a corrupted form of Dharma. At that time, Srila Jiva Goswami felt anxious about all the faults, such as rasabhas and the distortion of ras, that are seen in so-called Vaishnavas today. He could not prevent this misfortune, although he was so careful. You should not speak this Siddhanta in the presence of others, except to those who are qualified to receive it. Now I will describe the Nitya Priya Gopis. So Jiva Goswami, this is referencing when he wrote for some of his followers about Swakiya Ras within Braj. But that was for a certain section of his followers. It wasn't that that's what he believed. Vijay, who are the Nitya Priya Gopis? Although in the past I have studied many Shastras, now my sole desire is to drink this nectar from the lotus mouth of Sri Gurudev. Goswami, like Krishna, the Nitya Priya Gopis in Braj are the abodes of all qualities such as beauty and cleverness. Radha and Chandravali are the most prominent among them. They have been referred to in Brahma Samhita 5:37. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis Tabirya Eva Nija Rupatya Kalabahi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuta Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. When the Anand Angsa of the Sat Chit Ananda Paratattva agitates the Chit Angsa and is then enthused by the separately manifest Hladini Pratibha splendor, then Srimati Radhika, along with her Sakhis, who are all extensions of her spiritual form, become manifest. I perform bhajan of that Govinda, who is the supreme original soul of all souls. He eternally resides in Golok Dham with those damsels who are all endowed with the 64 arts. So this is describing the Radha Kaya Vyuha. The Nitya Priya Gopis have been mentioned in this statement of Brahma, which is the essence of all the Vedas. They are Nitya, which means they are a manifestation of Chit Shakti and are thus beyond time and space. This is the truth. Their Nitya Lila is an expression of the 64 arts, Kalarya Swamsa Rupabhya Shaktibhya. Although different meanings are given by the Acharyas in other commentaries on Brahma Samhita, I have explained Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami's extremely confidential commentary. This secret treasure is hidden in the vault of the hearts of Sri Rupa Sanatan and Srila Jiva Goswamis. Beautiful. Vijay. I am intensely eager to hear the various names of the Nitya Priya Gopis. Goswami, Shastra such as the Skanda Purana and Prahlad Samhita have mentioned names such as Radha, Chandravali, Vishaka, Lalita, Shyama, Padma, Saiba, Badrika, Tara, Vichitra, Gopali, Danishna, and Pali. Another name of Chandravali is Somata, and Srimati Radhika is also called Gandharva. Brajagopis such as Kanja Sanki, Manorama, Mangala, Vimala, Lila, Krishna, Shari, Sari, Varishad, Taravali, Chakorakshi, Sankari, and Kumkum are most famous in this world, are also famous in this world. Vijay, what is their relationship with each other? Goswami, these gopis are Yuteshwaris, group leaders. There are not one or two groups, but hundreds, and in each of them there are hundreds of thousands of beautiful individual gopis. All of the above mentioned gopis, from Srimati Radhika to Kumkum, are Yuteshwaris. Vishaka, Lalita, Padma, and Saiba have been described in the Shastras more elaborately than the others. Among these Yuteshwaris, the 8 gopis beginning with Radha have been called Pradhan because they are most fortunate. Pradhana, because they are most fortunate. So there are millions, billions of gopis. I described the other day, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur saying 300 billion gopis, and we're going to come to these categories of gopis. Vijay, Vishaka, Lalita, Padma, and Saiba are Pradhana gopis, and they are especially expert in nourishing Krishna's pastimes. Why have they not been accepted as distinct Yuteshwaris, leaders? Goswami, they are so qualified that although it would be proper to call them Yuteshwaris, Lalita and Vishaka remain so enchanted by Srimati Radhika's supremely blissful bhav that they do not want to call themselves independent Yuteshwaris. Among them, some of the followers of Srimati Radhika and some are followers of Srimati Radhika and others are followers of Chandravali. Vijay, I have heard that Lalita has a gun, a subgroup. What type of group is it? Goswami, Srimati Radhaji is prominent amongst all the Yuteshwaris. Some of the gopis in her dependent Utes are attracted to Sri Lalitaji's special bhav and call themselves Lalita Gun. Other gopis refer to themselves as Vishaka Gun and so on. The Astasakis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka, are the heroines of Srimati Radhika's various guns. If one is very fortunate, one can acquire the qualification to enter Srimati Lalita's gun. So we know this is what's recommended, this is what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself is following this. Vijay, in which Shastra can the names of these gopis be found? Goswami, their names are found in Shastras such as Padma Purana, Skanda Purana, and the Uttarakhand of the Bhavisya Purana. Many names are also mentioned in Sattvata Tantra. Vijay, Srimad Bhagavatam is the crest jewel of all Shastras in the entire universe, so it would have been a matter of great joy if these names were mentioned there. Goswami, Srimad Bhagavatam is a Tattva Shastra, but it is also an ocean of ras. From the point of view of the Rasik Bhaktas, Srimad Bhagavatam is filled with a complete deliberation on Rasa Tattva, as if an ocean were contained in a single jar. Sri Radha's name and the bhavs and identities of all the gopis have been described there in a highly confidential way. If you reflect thoroughly upon the shlokas of the 10th canto, you can find everything. There's that beautiful verse, Aradhaya, what's that? Aradhaya Bhagavat. Aradhayo, no. Aradhayo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya Statam. No. No, not that verse, not that verse. No, not that verse. No. Yes, but that's something different. It's Anaya Radhito Nunam Bhagavan Hare Ishvara. Yad. This verse here. I'm just going to find it. Page 14. You have the little book, it's in page 14. No, it's not this one. This is the wrong one. Sorry. I've got to just find it. It's Aradhayo Bhagavan. Anaya Radhito Nunam. Anaya Radhito Nunam. It's on page 157. Anaya Radhito Nunam Bhagavan Hare Ishvara. Yan no Vihaya Govinda Prito Yam Anayad Raha. So this verse is quoted when the gopis are seeking Krishna after he's left the Rasa Leela, and they say that they recognized Radhika's Swapaksh gopis, her own group, recognize her footprints, but the other gopis they don't. And they just, Chandravali, etc., they just recognize that some fortunate gopi has been taken to a secret place by Krishna. O Saki, Srimati Radhika is more fortunate than all of us. It doesn't actually say directly Radhika. She has surely performed the highest aradhana of Bhagavan, Sri Hari. Thus she has received the name Radhika. That is why, being very much pleased with her, Govinda left us in the Rasastali and went off with her to a solitary place. The hidden meaning of this verse is that Srimati Radhika, who is indicated here as Aradhita, is the topmost gopi beloved of Sri Krishna, being the very crown jewel of devotion. This is the only time in the whole Bhagavatam that Srimati Radhika's name is deliberately said. It's not even said entirely. Anaya Radhito Nunam. This is not saying directly Radhika, but it's indicating Radhika, because we know that Shukadev Goswami was originally Radhika's parrot. So if he chants the name of Radhika, he will go into such a high bhav that he won't be able to complete the whole recitation of the Bhagavatam to Parikshit. So he deliberately doesn't say these names, particularly Radhika. But in this one particular verse, Anaya Radhito Nunam Bhagavan Hare Ishvara, he mentions her name there in a hidden way. If you reflect thoroughly upon the shlokas of the 10th canto, you can find everything. Sri Shukadev Goswami has described this subject in a confidential way to keep unqualified people at a distance. Vijay, what will be the result of giving chanting beads and full and explicit descriptions to one and all? The reader can understand the confidential topics. If you give chanting beads and these instructions to all, they will commit offenses to the holy name. The reader can understand the confidential topics only as far as his conceptions are advanced. Therefore, one quality of a genuine Pandit is that he can reveal in a hidden way subjects that are not fit to be revealed in the presence of everyone. It's called parokshvad. Qualified people understand them only as far as their adhikar allows. There is no knowledge of the factual vastu without Sri Guru Parampara. One may acquire knowledge in other ways, but it will have no effect unless the knowledge is empowered directly from Sri Guru, who is originally manifesting from Sri Rupa Goswami, all the Goswamis in that line, then the knowledge that they're giving will have no potency at all. The reader can understand the confidential topics only as far as his conceptions are advanced. Therefore, one quality of a genuine Pandit is that he can reveal in a hidden way subjects that are not fit to be revealed in the presence of everyone. Qualified people understand them only as far as their adhikar allows. There is no knowledge of the factual vastu without Sri Guru Parampara. One may acquire knowledge in other ways, but it will have no effect. You can only attain the complete ras of Srimad Bhagavatam after thoroughly understanding Ujjvala Nilamani. So these topics of Ujjvala Nilamani are confidential topics, but only by understanding those topics will one actually be able to understand the heart of this Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, after a long period of questions and answers, that day's Ishta Goshti was completed. Vijay returned to his residence, meditating incessantly on the subjects that he had heard, as all the vikar considerations in relation to Nayak and Nayika awakened in the field of his heart. He became absorbed in Paramananda, and as he remembered the discussion about Vamsi and Swayamduti, a stream of tears flowed from his eyes. We remember Vamsi and Swayamduti are the two Sakhis of Krishna, those helpers of Krishna. At that time, the pastime that he had seen in the grove on his way to Sundarachal the previous night appeared vividly upon the screen of his heart. Thus ends the 32nd chapter of Jayavadana, entitled Madhura Ras Madhurya Ras Vichar, Parakya Nayaks. So remarkable chapter. But as we've said, each time we conclude a chapter, and I'm simply reading it through, I'm not commenting practically at all, we have the desire to again turn around and read it straight back through, or at least listen to it again. And you'll find that the second time listening, or the third time listening, your understanding and comprehension will be so much more. We're thinking that we don't really understand it so much on the first time through, but the second time through, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and so on, over the years, we'll come to be able to assimilate and absorb so much more on this topic and bring it basically into our meditation, bring it into our bhajan, bring it into our consciousnesses while we're chanting. And if we do that and questions arise, we'll find very quickly and easily Guru and Krishna will answer those questions immediately. So this is our process, to hear patiently, as we said at the beginning, and allow these topics to manifest by themselves into the consciousness, according to our adhikar, according to the strength of our sadhan bhajan. These topics will manifest within us. And depending on our greed and enthusiasm, that will indicate the amount of time that it will take for these topics to manifest. Some it will just be very rapid, for others it may be lifetimes until these topics actually become clarified in the consciousness. So it's a very individual journey here. And if we start to say things categorically like this and like this and like that, then we're sort of putting it in stone, so to speak, but none of it is in stone. It's all like fluid. According to the level of our understanding at the time, we will understand it a certain way. Like the Gayatri mantras, according to our adhikar at that time, we'll understand it a certain way. And then after a few months, we'll understand it more deeply. And so it will evolve with our ever-evolving consciousness. So this is a very beautiful topics. So tomorrow is Ekadashi Vrat here in Vrindavan, in Navadvip, and perhaps it's the same in different places of the world also, today or tomorrow. But tomorrow it's Ekadashi Vrat. And we'll begin chapter 33 tomorrow. This Madhurya Ras Vichar and Sri Radha Swarup, 5 types of Sakis and messengers. So thank you all very much for your patient attendance, and we'll continue tomorrow. Shri Jai Vedama Ki Jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai.